Hey yo guys, what's up and welcome back to Two Toe Tags and Metal Reviews, and today you're getting our final review of Imperium Delirium by Shadow of Intent. So, yes, this review is about a week late. We're busy, we have stuff to do, and we couldn't get this review out last week, but no time like the present. So without further ado, this album is one of these albums that we were both pretty damn hyped for.
I think everyone was.
Everyone was. There was, they were setting the bar high with the singles they released. So they released Flying the Black Flag like a year or so ago. We checked that out. We were like, okay, this is all right. This is, setting on a good track or whatever. And then Infinity of Horrors, Feeding the Meat Grinder with George Corpse Grinder, and Mechanical Chaos all dropped. And we were like, holy crap. Shadow of Intent is bringing it. Like, we were so hyped. At least I was. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but super hyped for this. And the album finally drops. I listened to it and I'm like, okay, I need to take all this in. The album as a whole didn't wow me like the singles did. It was one of those situations where the singles, I feel like they stand out on their own. But once I hear them on the whole album, I feel like they're not as shiny. If that makes sense.
They blend in with the other tracks a little bit and don't stand out the way that they kind of...
Yes, and that almost makes it sound like all the songs are really, really good, but that's not the case. I feel like, in a way, it all kind of waters and muddies together, which that detracts from the gloriousness of the singles when they stand out on their own. As far as the single goes, by the way, I think Feeding the Meat Grinder and Infinity of Horrors are the two that really stood out to me. The other two songs I thought were fine, but didn't really blow me away. So it's not like it was 4 for 4 or anything like that. But listening to this album through the week, I unfortunately, and I know I might get flack for this, I found the album to be kind of uninspiring and, I hate to say it, but kind of boring to listen to. And that kind of sucks because, as I just explained, I was pretty excited for it. So just to kind of talk about the songs that it did like and that did kind of, keep me interested in somewhat shape, way, or form. Infinity of Horrors, I still think is one of the top tracks, if not the top track. I really love the intro riff. I love the drum fill that kicks off the song. They have these like orchestral elements. I found they had a very kind of Cradle of Filth reminiscent type of feel with the keyboards that are in the song. Cool little drum groove sections happening. You got choir elements. All of these things are not new. They're not anything that are profound or anything, but they're all tastefully done. They're all well put together on this song. And, I just think that when I was listening to this album, all the parts that tended to stand out to me all happened to kind of be on this song. I kept going, wow, this song really has a lot of cool stuff going on in there.
You'd have the album on, and then every time you look over at the part you like, it just happens to be that song.
Exactly.
Every time.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Another song that kind of started out, this is the song that I would call the grower song for me, the song that kind of was like meh at first, but then as the week went on, it kind of got better and better. They Murdered Sleep, which is track number 5. I like this track because it kind of, to me, it built up like a movie score in a sense. Then it kind of, it has the deathcore elements in there, but it's like cinematic deathcore. And I also heard some Cradle of Filth elements on this one too. Like, I was getting Cradle of Filth vibes on a few songs, and that's maybe because I'm a Cradle of Filth fan and I kind of go back with that band very far. But I was getting those elements and I started thinking, like, I've never really known Shadow of Intent to be a blackened deathcore band, but I think this album kind of crosses that threshold.
Yeah, I feel like they've toyed with it here and there, especially because previously we've had the Dimmu Borgir comparisons, especially on top of that Ben's voice doing some Shagrath sounding stuff.
That's right, I forgot about that. So you're right. So they've definitely kind of dabbled in that realm, and I think more so on this album they kind of, dip their feet into that side of the pool a little bit more. As far as the rest of the tracks go, these tracks are, for what they're worth, solid tracks. But they don't really have anything that's super special about them. They don't really have anything that was like, enter the playlist or stuff that I can really like brag about in a review. At least that's for me. And I really tried to focus on a lot of them and go, what does this song have to offer me? And they would just kind of start, I would kind of lose interest halfway through and then it would be over. Fuck, like, why is it doing this to me? I was so hyped for this. It was like, it was a disappointment in a sense. So,
well, to comment on the singles, I think honestly, after listening to this album as much as I did, I feel like they picked very good singles. They made the right choices with their singles. All of them I thought were great. I feel like the least best was Flying the Black Flag, but like the other three were incredible. And Feeding the Meat Grinder was my top track of the album. Love that song, love it every single time. It's one of the only songs that for me, as soon as it started, oh yeah, here we go, I know what's up. Not as many tracks on this record really felt as recognizable that quickly like this one was. And that is part of the issue with this album, because I felt that some of the tracks would kind of either blend in or just not stand out as hard. I was kind of struggling with the issue of, I feel like the album is too long. Now, it's 54 minutes. That's not that bad, but for what this album presents, I feel like it doesn't need to be this length. I feel like you could probably cut a few tracks.
I think for a deathcore album, that pushes it.
Yeah, depending on the content, right? Like
it does.
It's just the amount of songs, the amount of tracks, because there's only one like long one, and that is the title track at the end, which is like a 7-minute track.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, longer than standard, but not like crazy. They've done longer than that.
Yeah.
But even then, like the title track for me did not really land. I mean, it kind of had its interesting aspects. Like there's a shuffle at one point, which was kind of cool, but it didn't really retain me much. You know, other tracks like any of the singles or the Facets of Propaganda, that was pretty cool.
What about the instrumental? That's not bad too.
The instrumental, also really cool. Like, and I mean, the instrumental, it's the kind of track, which the song's called Apocalypse Canvas. I listen to their instrumentals and it always feels like, man, these guys have so much fun just jamming, and I really love that. And I love the way that they're able to complement each other just as players. Like, I'm listening to this and it's like, oh yeah, these guys gotta be like some kind of jazz-schooled musicians with the way that they're, you know, comping with each other and the way they trade their solos. Love that. Always enjoy that. It wasn't like a super mind-blower, jaw-dropper, but I did like it quite a bit. So super duper cool. The shots at the end where he's playing the super fast singles on his hands on the snare. Love that. That got a pop out of me when I'd hear it. So thought that was super cool. I liked all the syncopated sections that were on this album, and both Mechanical Chaos and Infinity of Horrors have a really cool syncopated sections, which are always fun. You know, I'm into that kind of thing. Was also there in the Facets of Propaganda, I like that as well. And that one has like one of the moments of the Shagrath kind of vocal speaking, which, you know, we call it Shagrath. That's just the main thing we know that kind of sound
like
from.
A point of reference, yeah.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if Dimmu Borgir was a big influence for this band. Based on like, you know, the amount, as much as we've heard them over the years at this point, like, I think that's pretty clear.
I agree.
But yeah, so the main issue I was having was that there are cool tracks, there are fantastic tracks, but there's a lot of tracks that I really couldn't say anything about. A lot of tracks that kind of just come and go. It's like, well, it's not bad, but it's like, why are these ones incredible and these ones kind of don't do anything? So then it's like, if you just removed those, then you would have had a more concise album. It wouldn't have cut too much content, and it would have been so much stronger overall in that sense.
It almost seems like in a way they focused all their creative energy on just like a few tracks, and the rest of them didn't get any creative energy. That's kind of what it seems like. A bunch of tracks were just kind of like written and put together and done, and then a few tracks they really focused and honed in on to make them special. I think they should have spread that creativity out amongst the rest of the tracks, and it would have at least spread the ideas out a little bit more and made each track stand out a little more, I think.
Yeah, I think it kind of spread the rest of those tracks a little thin, because I think there are other tracks that came and went but had like one pretty cool moment. But it's like, why does this track only have one pretty cool moment where this one, like the whole song is the cool moment?
That's the thing.
And that's kind of the issue they're having. So not to say that the songs are bad. They had even standout moments, but it just wasn't much compared to others. And that's difficult when you have a full album experience, but not as much of it is hitting as as much as the rest.
Yeah.
So it makes those songs look bad when they're not really bad. If I were to listen to all those songs that weren't the peak songs of this album, I'd still be like, yeah, this is pretty good. But then you mix that with like 6 songs, then it kind of like overshadows them a little harsher.
Yeah.
One thing I really like that this band does though is they give space. And it's a big issue that so many deathcore bands have. They'll do wall of noise, they won't let anything breathe. They won't have any space in their music. This band does that. And I really like that because it, you know, helps the pacing. And, you know, that's one of the biggest things you can do creatively, right? Like, even if you're just learning the basics of like learning rhythm and stuff, like, okay, learn this figure, now start adding breaks and leaving space, and then your kind of creative repertoire expands so much when you do that. I love that this band does that, especially when they're in a pool full of bands that don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, as somebody that I don't know, do you want to rate the album?
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna rate it. What you got?
This is difficult. I guess somebody like, I like deathcore, but I also like a lot of other types of metal. And that means my opinion's gonna sway a little bit. I think for people that just like deathcore, I think this is gonna slay. This is gonna be a sick album. It's got everything you want, and it's gonna be a top tier album for you. But if you're the kind of metalhead that really kind of likes a lot of different things, you almost want more things in your metal, and it's almost unfair to say that, but I want even deathcore bands or any genre to be more creative and do more things that stand out and that show me that you're putting a little bit more effort into your songs rather than just doing the paint by numbers, song structure and things like that. So for me, this album is a little bit too much standard, straightforward deathcore, right? It's got the blackened element in there, but again, that's not something that's new. That's something that a lot of bands have been doing lately over the last several years. So even that, as much as I like it, doesn't sound fresh. So out of 12 songs, I got 2 that I really like. Unfortunately, those 2 aren't gonna bring the score up very much, and the rest of the songs kind of drag the score down. I hate doing this, but the score I give this album is a 4. And that is pretty much the opposite score. I was expecting to give this a toe tag before we went into it because of how hyped I was for the singles. This band's on the two toe tag list already.
Yep.
So it's not like I'm just a Shadow of Intent hater or anything like that, but I know a lot of people love this. I think I'm gonna get flack for my score, but it just didn't hit the spot for me.
I mean, it's really hard for lightning to strike 3 times.
Yeah.
The first record of theirs we checked out on the channel, Phenomenal, is on the list.
Yeah.
Second record, not on the list, but very close.
Very close.
This record, I feel like they had the juice there. There is some great stuff, but I think one of, if not the major issue with this record is that it's a little too long and it feels like there's padding. I feel like if you removed some of the tracks, then you'd level this album up so hard.
Mm-hmm.
It does not really need to be 12 tracks. I feel like there was a bit of filler in there. So I still like it. I still think it's good. And I think that anyone who's into this kind of thing, like, this album's amazing. Because it does have juicy stuff and it has what you come here for, right? Like what you came to this album for. But I found that it could have been a little more juicy, could have had a little bit more of the super high points. So it's gonna get a 6.5 from me.
Well, that's it. Those are our scores: a 6.5 from TV Fish and a 4 from me. And you know what? It is what it is. We want to hear from you guys and let us know what you think of the album. And it's been out for a couple weeks now, so maybe it's grown on you, or maybe you hated it at the beginning and now you like it, or maybe you hated it the whole time, or maybe you loved it the whole time. But either way, let us know if you agree with us or disagree with us. Sound off down below. Let us know your favorite tracks, all that fun stuff. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. I'm Vile Self.
I'm TV Fish.
I'll see you guys on the next one. Keith will says banging.